Story begins with a breathtaking mountain range, sharp peaks piercing the sky. The place is known as Sacred Peak Detol. A man shows up next to a small, cute creature. The creature looks toward the trees. Then, we see a big, shiny fruit, with a hand reaching out to grab it. A hand points at the fruit on the tree. The man looks and asks if that's what the little creature wants. The creature gets excited, looking up at it. The guy grabs the fruit, showing he got it. The same little creature from before cheers excitedly, happy he pulled it off. The guy smiles, holding the little creature on his shoulder. The creature munches on the fruit happily, while he warns it not to overdo it. The guy looks up at the sky and says it looks like a storm is coming. Under the heavy rain, two hooded figures rush toward a cave. One of them yells to get inside now. At the cave's entrance, one of the hooded figures remarks in shock that the storm came out of nowhere. A knight shows up, soaked by the rain, shocked that it was sunny just a minute ago. His name is revealed. Jace, 2nd Division Captain of the Weldaria Kingdom Knight Order. Inside the cave, the knights gather around the light. They say this place is an uncharted land, and every monster they faced was a nightmare. One of the knights wonders if he could really be living in a place like this. The knight declares with certainty, there's no doubt. The legendary sword saint is here, on Detol Peak. One of the knights speaks respectfully, saying that with sudden weather shifts and dangerous beasts, it's hard to imagine anyone living out here. The captain orders the fire to be put out. The knights call to him, noticing his serious expression as the rain keeps pouring. With a sharp look, the captain grips his sword and warns that something's coming. The knight stares in shock, realizing something terrifying. The rain isn't even touching him. The young man steps forward, saying he sensed something strange and came to check it out. The knights are stunned, overwhelmed by the insane sword aura surrounding him. The young man points at the knights and asks if they're from Weldaria. The knights call out to their captain. He stays silent, eyes locked in focus. The captain steps forward, his sword on his back standing out. The young man in front reacts in shock. The knight introduces himself. He confirms he's Jace, captain of the 2nd Division of Weldaria's Knight Order. Jace speaks to the young man, saying it's an honor. He addresses him as the sword saint Feet. Feet reacts in surprise, joking if they really came all the way out here just to see him. Jace answers seriously they did, and they have a request, one only he can handle. Feet looks skeptical, asking if they really risked their necks just to ask him for something. Feet agrees to hear them out, waving his hand casually. Jace bows his head, thanking him respectfully. Feet says this place is dangerous, and they should move if they want to talk properly. Feet tells them he'll take them to his place, adding that the storm should clear soon. The knights react in surprise. As they move on, one of the knights says in disbelief that he can't believe the storm cleared up that fast. Feet shows up smiling with the little creature on his head. One knight wonders if the sword saint can even predict the weather, while another points out he's already up and moving. One of the soldiers looks at the captain in fear, calling out to him as he notices something's off. As they follow him, some of the knights whisper in doubt. They wonder if he's really the sword saint. He looks way younger than them. While the soldiers doubt him, the captain reveals he saw Feet back in the Human-Demon War. He admits he has no idea how Feet still looks exactly the same. Feet shows up with a grin, casually confirming, yeah, that's him. Feet raises his arms with a smile, announcing they've arrived, as the captain watches closely. The knights are stunned, amazed that a place like this exists hidden in the mountains. A monster appears in front of them. The captain gets ready to move, but Feet stops him, calmly telling him to hold it. Feet explains it's a watering hole. He points out that even monsters don't fight here, since water is way too rare. Jace asks the sword saint where he sleeps. Feet looks surprised, pausing to think. Feet gives a vague answer, saying he sleeps somewhere around here. The knights watch curiously, while the little creature reacts in surprise. Feet tells them to sit wherever they want. He admits he doesn't have tea, but shows off some white apples he picked earlier. After offering the apples, Feet looks at Jace and asks what exactly they need from him. Jace begins to explain. He says their country runs a school to train the next generation of knights. The scene shifts to the Royal First Knight Academy of Weldaria, the place where young students are trained to become knights. Feet keeps eating casually, questioning the knights. What's a school got to do with him? Jace raises a scroll and speaks firmly. He says the academy, the pride of their kingdom, is in danger, and they need Feet to save it. Feet reacts in surprise, asking about saving it. Jace explains the academy is being strangled by uptight noble elites. The scene shows how the academy is corrupted by nobles. Students are judged by status, and talented ones without titles are ignored. That toxic system is ruining everything. The knights explain there are plenty of gifted commoners, but they're denied opportunities. Feet smirks, saying society's still a mess, huh? Jace adds that at this rate, their military won't grow, it'll just fall apart. Jace finishes, saying they need Feet's strength to change all of this. Feet looks at Jace and asks straight up, "What exactly do you want me to do?" Jace bows before Feet, making his request clear. Transfer into the Knight Academy and crush those arrogant noble brats' pride. Jace explains that even though Feet is the Sword Saint, on paper he has no status. Feet reacts in shock. Jace goes on, saying if someone like Feet beats those nobles, everything will change. Jace declares that if Feet steps in, the nobles' entire system will collapse. The scene shows a powerful metaphor of it shattering to pieces. Feet reacts with a small grin. Feet bursts into loud laughter at their request, while the knights stand by watching quietly. Feet keeps laughing, finding the whole thing hilarious. He bites into his apple and starts summing up their request. Feet smirks with confidence, saying all he really has to do is knock some sense into those nobles. Feet adds that he'll knock sense into whoever steps up to him. Jace instantly agrees, saying exactly. With a confident grin, Feet accepts their request and says he'll help. Feet agrees to help, but makes it clear he wants compensation. Jace replies that the king has promised to grant whatever request he makes, no matter what. Feet bites into his apple and agrees to the deal without hesitation. A carriage moves down the road toward the massive castle in the distance. With the deal made, they set off. Inside the carriage, Feet rides along with the knights. They reach the city gates, the carriage rolling through the entrance. Feet gazes out the window, surprised by the lively city. Merchants shouting, bread being sold, kids running around. The streets are full of energy. They finally arrive at Central, the capital of Weldaria. Feet can't hide his awe at the massive city towering before him. Feet is blown away by the city. He's never seen half of this stuff before. Even QE gets hyped, eyes sparkling at all the weird foods around. Feet laughs, asking QE if he's having fun too. The little guy bounces happily, clearly just as excited about the city as his master. Jace eyes the little creature, asking what it is. Feet casually answers, like it's nothing special. Feet introduces his little companion, saying his name is QE. The creature stares forward, almost like he's introducing himself too. QE suddenly jumps onto Jace's lap, catching him off guard. Feet laughs it off, saying the little guy used to hang around the mountain and just followed him here. QE perches right on top of Jace's head, making him uneasy. Feet reassures him that the creature's harmless, though the captain still looks pretty doubtful. Feet smirks at Jace, teasing him to drop the formal talk since he's basically just a commoner here. Jace looks stiff and clearly uncomfortable at the jab. Jace coughs awkwardly, reluctantly agreeing, clearly still uneasy with Feet's teasing. Feet worries about someone recognizing his face, but Jace reassures him. Hardly anyone in this country knows him, so no student would ever notice. Jace stresses with a serious tone that the Sword Saint's presence here is strictly confidential. Jace warns Feet not to show his face too much. Feet casually agrees, getting the point without fuss. On the throne, King Andrew Seville of Weldaria greets Feet with respect, thanking the Sword Saint for coming all the way here. Feet meets the King of Weldaria face to face for the first time. The king apologizes for not visiting, saying he didn't want to risk the journey. Feet brushes it off casually, telling him it's no big deal. Feet bluntly points out that the mountain would have eaten the king alive if he had gone there himself. The king takes the jab in stride, simply thanking him for understanding. Feet teases that the guy's way too stiff and should loosen up a bit. The reaction is instant. Someone snaps back in outrage. Royal Knight Clifford Lightning snaps, shouting at Feet to watch his mouth when speaking to the king, Sword Saint or not. Clifford lashes out, refusing to be lectured by a low-born knight. The king cuts him off, ordering silence and reminding everyone that Feet is their guest. The knights voice their doubts. Even if he's the Sword Saint, Feet is still just a commoner. They question how the nation's future could be trusted to someone like him. The argument heats up. One side points out that Feet ended the war 7 years ago. The other snaps back, mocking them as cowards who just used the demons as an excuse. Cliff smirks confidently, while Jace glares at him, on the verge of snapping. Before things escalate, the king steps in with authority, shutting them both down with a sharp command. The king apologizes for his knight's shameful behavior, while the sword saint shrugs it off, admitting this whole mess is turning out way more annoying than he thought. The king, clearly embarrassed, lowers himself and offers a sincere apology. The king reveals that the kingdom of Iveltrid, the demon nation, has been acting suspiciously. The protagonist listens carefully, realizing this is the dangerous land he's heard about before. The king confirms it. Yeah, the demon nation is making moves. They're gathering powerful warriors from all across the continent, raising the stakes even higher. The king lays it out. Everyone fears the demon kingdom is gearing up for war again. The tension is real, and the shadow of another bloody conflict looms over the continent. The knights confess the harsh truth. If war breaks out, they won't stand a chance against the demons. The king makes it clear. If nobles and commoners don't unite, they're doomed. Meanwhile, the protagonist casually calls out the arrogant knight by name, Cliff, just to push his buttons. The protagonist stares Cliff down, calling him out. You don't believe I can change this country, do you? Cliff loses it, shouting back that of course he doesn't. Cliff yells with rage, declaring that bloodlines rule this land. Even if the Sword Saint's legend is real, he shouts that he'd never trust their nation's future to someone like him. The protagonist mocks Cliff, pointing out that guys like him are the reason the king wants to shake things up. Cliff loses it, pulls out his sword, and yells in rage, furious at being insulted. With a smug glare, Cliff challenges the legendary swordsman. He orders the protagonist to draw his blade, swearing he'll prove this sword saint is nothing but a relic of the past. The protagonist smirks, unfazed by Cliff's challenge. He accepts without hesitation, seeing the fight as simply the fastest way to settle things. The protagonist waves off the sword, making it clear he doesn't need it to deal with Cliff. The protagonist grins confidently and declares he doesn't use swords anymore. Everyone's confused, but the protagonist just tells them to chill and watch. Cliff freaks out, shocked that the protagonist's actually going to fight him barehanded. Cliff snaps, charging with his sword in rage, yelling if the sword saint is mocking him. Cliff charges in screaming, swinging to kill. But the protagonist just smirks, saying he's got talent. Too bad it's completely wasted on pride. The knights watching admit Cliff's swordsmanship is no joke. There's a reason he made it into the royal guard. Even with all his skill and reputation, Cliff realizes something's off. He's shocked, sweat running down his face. Cliff swings with everything he's got, but the protagonist shocks everyone. He just stops the blade with his bare hand. The protagonist looks Cliff dead in the eye and says it straight. When your cause is twisted, even your blade loses its edge. The protagonist blocks Cliff with ease and tells him flat out he's wasting his talent. Cliff freezes, realizing he can't even move. The protagonist smirks, points forward, and says he'll show just one move, the legendary Sword Saint's technique. Cliff laughs in disbelief, mocking the protagonist. He can't believe anyone would dare face him without a blade, already assuming it's just some kind of cheap trick. The protagonist unleashes his legendary move, an invisible slash with no blade, catching Cliff completely off guard. Cliff is completely stunned, unable to believe what just happened right in front of him. Clifford Lightning can't handle the humiliation. He freaks out, screaming that he was defeated by just a kid, someone he sees as nothing more than a filthy commoner. The protagonist shatters Clifford Lightning's sword with his bare hands, leaving the knight completely stunned. The protagonist casually says, "Told you it'd be fine," while Clifford is left frozen in shock, and everyone else is still trying to process what just happened. Jace yields, and the protagonist just flashes a big grin, celebrating like it was nothing. The king, clearly impressed, admits it. Our protagonist's strength has been proven beyond doubt. The king stares at the protagonist and asks straight up, what is it that he truly wants from them once all this change is done? The king says if it's within his power, he'll grant it. The protagonist laughs, teasing him for being so generous. With a bold grin, the protagonist points his finger and makes his request. He wants the king to lend him someone. The protagonist smirks and spells it out. He wants someone strong. Really strong. He makes it simple. Doesn't matter if it's a knight or a thug, as long as they're strong. The protagonist makes it clear. He wants the strongest person in the entire country. The king listens to the protagonist's request and asks what exactly he plans to demand from that person. The protagonist grins, dropping a bombshell. What he truly wants is for the strongest warrior to kill him. The protagonist arrives at Walderia's Royal Knight Academy, eyes wide with excitement at how massive the place is. Meanwhile, Jace just stands there quietly, not nearly as impressed. Jace is left stunned, replaying the words in his head. The protagonist actually asked someone to kill him, and Jace can't figure out why he'd say something so insane. The protagonist stares at the statue, wondering if it's all just about the thrill of fighting someone stronger. The protagonist gets excited by the crowd, while Jace wonders if maybe he's just grown tired of life itself, since he's already the strongest. The protagonist's eyes light up, asking if they're allowed to fight, while Jace quickly tries to hold him back, telling him to chill. The protagonist gets assigned. He's officially a first-year student in Class A. They spell it out for the protagonist. His very first objective is about to be set. The protagonist's first mission is set: rise to the very top of the Academy's rankings. The protagonist brushes it off like it's no big deal, and Jace accepts it with a nod. Whispers spread. Commoners barely stand a chance here. To climb the ranks, he'll have to push back hard against noble pressure. The protagonist gets it. If nobles try to crush him, he just needs to crush them harder. His comrade confirms it with no doubt. The protagonist catches on faster than expected, surprising his ally. With a sharp look, he makes it clear he's no clueless kid like people assume. The protagonist shrugs it off and says he'll take care of it. Before the protagonist walks off, Jace stops him, reminding him his guide should be here any minute. The protagonist looks confused, questioning what Jace means by a guide. Out of nowhere, a mysterious figure shows up, casually greeting Jace like an old acquaintance. Jace stays composed, but admits it's good to see that person again after all this time. At the academy, the protagonist is introduced to Lady Arya Redtail, the headmistress. She's already been told about his situation and agrees to support him. With a smile, Arya welcomes him, saying it's an honor to finally meet the Sword Saint. The protagonist smirks at Arya, confidently pointing out that he can tell she's strong. Arya smiles gracefully, saying it's an honor to be praised by the Sword Saint himself. Jace points out that Arya should be strong. She used to lead the first division of the Night Order. Back in the Human-Demon War, Arya earned the nickname 100 Blossoms after cutting down 100 elite warriors all by herself. The protagonist figured Arya was strong all along. The protagonist realizes Arya used to be Jace's boss, but she makes it clear former boss. Jace explains he left the academy matters to Lady Arya, telling the protagonist to just follow her lead. The protagonist gets annoyed, feeling like he's being treated as a kid. Jace leaves things to Lady Arya, and she agrees. Lady Arya says she won't call him Sword Saint anymore. She'll call him Feet from now on. Lady Arya takes the protagonist to his new classroom, first year, Class A. He agrees, no problem. Before moving on, Lady Arya remembers something and stops the protagonist. Lady Arya welcomes the protagonist, officially introducing him to the Royal First Knight Academy. Lady Arya smiles warmly as she officially approves Feet's transfer into the academy. The protagonist steps into the academy's massive hallway, stunned by how huge it is. Lady Arya explains it needs to be this big to house hundreds of aspiring knights. The Royal First Knight Academy is a 3-year program built to train the strongest. With over 300 students, it's the biggest swordsmanship school in the kingdom. The protagonist already feels like he's going to get lost in the academy's endless halls. Arya casually mentions a student once vanished and was found days later, nothing but skin and bones. Arya laughs it off, saying she was just kidding, while the protagonist is left annoyed by her dark joke. Feet grumbles that it didn't even sound like a real joke, while Arya just keeps laughing to herself. Watching the protagonist run around like a goofy kid, Arya can't help but notice. He really does look just like an ordinary boy. He might look like just some kid, but the protagonist unleashes a refined sword aura that leaves everyone stunned. Watching him walk, it feels like he's not just some kid, he's got the presence of a sage who's trained for thousands of years. Out of nowhere, a massive surge of power erupts, so overwhelming it's hard to believe it's coming from just one person. The protagonist stares Arya down, calm and confident, asking if she's done analyzing him, like he's not even fazed by her overwhelming aura. Arya realizes she pushed too hard and, with a small smile, apologizes, acknowledging she went overboard with her pressure. Arya admits she just wanted to test the Sword Saint's strength. Feet shrugs it off with a casual response. Feet smirks at Arya, full of confidence, and says he'd like to spar with her someday. Arya is stunned. realizing she couldn't even draw her sword under Feet's overwhelming presence. Arya calls out Feet's name, while he looks around confused, not sure what's going on. Arya points the way to Class A, and Feet gets annoyed, saying she could have just said that earlier. Right before class starts, Arya steps in and asks everyone to give her a moment. Arya steps aside and tells the protagonist to come into the classroom. Arya tells the class that starting today, the protagonist will be their new classmate. The protagonist introduces himself with a big grin, saying his name is Feet, and cheerfully greets the whole class. After Feet's loud introduction, the whole class goes dead silent. Everyone just stares, the atmosphere turning heavy and awkward. The students start whispering, questioning who Feet is. They notice he's got no family name, and quickly assume he's just a commoner. Rebecca Lightning, a first year in Class A, angrily confronts the headmistress, insisting the class is for nobles only. But Arya shuts her down, stating there's no such rule. The headmistress clarifies, Class A is decided by academic performance. The reason most are nobles? Pure coincidence. Despite the explanation, the noble girl snaps, furious, claiming this situation is completely unacceptable. The noble sneers, questioning if Feet is really on their level. But he fires back, saying he's not just on par. Feet just smirks and brags, claiming he's probably stronger than anyone in the room. I mean, come on, he's talking about himself. The whole class is stunned as Feet casually flexes his power, leaving everyone in shock. Arya shuts it all down instantly, her voice alone demanding absolute authority. The whole class goes dead silent instantly. Nobody dares to make a sound. The students are pissed, but the headmistress shuts them down, reminding them that drawing weapons without permission breaks academy rules. Still, some fume, refusing to accept just standing by while the protagonist gloats. The headmistress shuts it down, saying that'd be unfair. The headmistress suggests settling things the knight's way, through a duel. Feet realizes all he needs to do is win the fight, and he's totally down for it. The headmistress steps in to reveal who's gonna challenge Feet. The headmistress calls out Rebecca as the challenger and asks if she accepts. Rebecca accepts without hesitation, vowing to make sure the protagonist never sets foot in Class A again. Headmistress Arya settles it. The duel is officially on. Arya sets the time. The duel goes down in 30 minutes. The duel's set for the second training ground. Classes are put on hold, and the whole academy's invited to watch. The headmistress wraps things up, dismissing the class and shifting focus to the duel. The protagonist walks out with her, clearly fired up for what's coming. The headmistress tells the protagonist to follow her. Feet follows the headmistress out, leaving the whole class whispering about what's coming next. Walking beside the headmistress, Feet squints and goes, "You planned this, didn't you?" She just laughs, amused at how things escalated so quickly. Feet looks at Arya and asks if she truly supports the king's plan. Without a second thought, she says yes. Arya admits she always hoped to change things with her own hands. Arya admits she doesn't have that kind of strength anymore since she stepped back from the front lines. The protagonist just nods, taking it in. Arya cuts the talk short, telling Feet to forget everything else and focus on the duel ahead. Feet's opponent is revealed, Rebecca Lightning, daughter of the legendary Lightning family, carrying the weight of her family's prestige. Turns out Rebecca is the younger sister of the legendary royal knight, Clifford Lightning. Feet recognizes the name and instantly realizes just how serious his opponent is. Feet realizes Rebecca is Clifford's sister and casually admits he's got some history with the guy. Cliff's strong, but Rebecca's got even greater potential. Rebecca's already ranked 10th in the academy, and she's just a first year. Feet grins, pumped to take on a ranked opponent right from the start. Feet smirks with a wicked grin, thinking luck's totally on his side. Feet steps forward, ready to go, while Arya watches closely, knowing things are about to get real. Feet warms up in the arena, taunting Rebecca to show what she's got. The referee lays it out. The duel ends if one surrenders or gets knocked out. Rebecca notices Feet doesn't even have a sword and calls him out on it. Feet smirks and boldly declares he doesn't even use a sword. Rebecca glares at Feet, thinking he's mocking her. But Feet, calm and cocky, grins and says not exactly. Feet looks straight at Rebecca, ready to speak with full confidence. Rebecca's pissed, but Feet just smirks, saying he doesn't even need a sword to beat her. Rebecca clenches her fist, ready for battle. Feet just grins and says, "All right then, let's begin." The duel kicks off. Rebecca dashes forward at full speed, charging straight at Feet. Rebecca and Feet clash head-on, the impact exploding with raw power, shaking the arena. Rebecca's eyes widen as Feet casually grabs her blade barehanded, smirking as he tells her to chill. Feet grins like a madman, holding the blade tight as he says he wants to take his time and really enjoy the fight. Word spreads fast through the academy halls. Rebecca's about to duel a new transfer student. The shock. He's just a commoner. The students laugh it off. No way a commoner could ever take down someone ranked. To them, the fight's already decided. Students rush through the halls, desperate not to miss the fight. The academy's buzzing. Everyone wants front row seats to this showdown. A student's shocked. Someone from the streets is actually dueling a noble. The arena's packed. Every student's watching as the duel is about to begin. Rebecca's stunned. The protagonist just grabbed her blade barehanded, like it was nothing. Rebecca pulls back and launches another strike, swinging hard to keep the protagonist on the defensive. Rebecca charges in full force, but the protagonist reacts instantly, leaping high to dodge her strike. The protagonist admits Rebecca's sword speed is top-notch, but calls her out. Her attacks are way too predictable. Enraged by his taunts, Rebecca unleashes her magic power, making it clear she's done holding back. The students realize it instantly. That's the signature power of the Lightning family. Rebecca unleashes her special move, Flash Step, vanishing in a blinding burst of insane speed. Rebecca goes in with her high-speed technique, but the protagonist shocks everyone by reading her move instantly on the very first try. She can't believe it. The protagonist stares Rebecca down and tells her to fight for real. Rebecca's out of breath, stunned, but the protagonist just grins and tells her to reset and go again. The headmistress is shocked. Feet dodged the Lightning family's signature move on the very first try and even countered right after. One of the students can't hide it. She admits she's impressed by Feet's performance. Rebecca admits no one's ever dodged that strike before, but Feet did it like it was nothing. With a smug grin, he just says he's glad he could help. Rebecca swallows her pride and admits she was wrong. She acknowledges that Feet truly belongs in Class A. Rebecca makes it clear, acknowledging Feet belongs in class, it doesn't mean he's going to win. Feet realizes Rebecca's about to use a serious technique, and he braces himself. Rebecca unleashes a devastating technique, aiming to crush Feet with her full power. Rebecca unleashes her ultimate move, Hammer of the Thunder Emperor, slamming down with overwhelming power straight at Feet. Feet stands there after Rebecca's strike, speaking casually right after the attack. Rebecca stands with the massive hammer planted on the ground after her strike. The panel explains Bachu, a technique where a swordsman channels hidden power through their blade. Feet points out that Bachu is being controlled in the very first year. Feet watches Rebecca's technique, calling her a prodigy, but noting that turning a sword into a blunt weapon isn't very knightly. Rebecca states that she likes the power it gives her. Feet responds right after. Rebecca raises the hammer and tells Feet to pick up a sword if he doesn't want to get hurt. Feet replies there's no need and tells her to come at him like she's trying to kill him. Rebecca charges forward at full speed with the electrified hammer, rushing straight at Feet. Rebecca unleashes her technique, a thunderous strike crashing down as Feet moves at incredible speed to dodge. Rebecca's strike hits with lightning speed, followed by the crushing shock of thunder, forcing Feet to react instantly against the overwhelming assault. Rebecca's strike proves its range. Even if the main blow is dodged, the lightning spreads across the field, making the technique deadly even at mid-range. Rebecca holds her hammer, as it's noted that a normal swordsman would be paralyzed the moment they touch the lightning. Feet feels the electricity running through his body and remarks on what lightning actually feels like. Rebecca charges forward once more, her hammer crackling with lightning as she aims straight at Feet. Rebecca unleashes a massive technique, a giant thunderbolt crashing down onto the field with devastating power. Feet stomps the ground, lightning crackling around him, then lowers his stance, readying himself to strike back. Rebecca tracks Feet's movement, stating she knew he would jump. Rebecca unleashes her technique, Reiko, once again, a devastating thunderbolt crashing onto the battlefield. The chapter closes with the electric explosion consuming everything. Rebecca is shown breathing heavily after the impact, feeling the effects of her own attack. Feet realizes Rebecca's technique. She's channeling lightning through her own body, using it to boost her speed. Feet remarks that it's no wonder Rebecca is so fast. Feet steps back casually, saying he's seen enough of the fight. Feet gets ready to strike back, saying it's time to return the favor. Rebecca realizes that Feet is moving faster than her. Feet unleashes his technique, Bladeless Slash, striking Rebecca with a powerful blow without even using a sword. Rebecca is stunned as she realizes her hammer of the Thunder Emperor has been broken by Feet's strike. Rebecca realizes her technique was shattered by Feet's bare hands. Feet faces Rebecca up close, telling her she's still got a lot of room to grow. Feet declares that today, the win is his. Feet unleashes his technique, Bladeless Thrust, a devastating strike that tears across the entire field straight toward Rebecca. Feet's strike lands right in front of Rebecca, making it clear who dominated the fight. Feet smiles after ending the duel, confident in his victory. Rebecca raises her hand and admits defeat, surrendering to Feet and confirming his victory. The headmistress declares the duel settled, officially confirming the result. The students watch in silence, stunned by the outcome. The headmistress officially declares that Rebecca has forfeited, confirming Feet's victory in front of the entire academy. The result is announced to everyone. The winner of the duel is Feet. The students are shocked that a commoner actually defeated Rebecca. Meanwhile, Feet celebrates, flashing a carefree victory sign with his hands. A student watches in shock, realizing that a commoner has just defeated a noble. As Feet celebrates his victory, someone in the audience reacts angrily, stomping their foot in frustration. Elsewhere in the academy, a student remarks that he came to see Rebecca, the girl who got ranked in her very first year, but is shocked that she lost to a commoner who doesn't even use a sword. It's revealed that the student is Wolf Fangman, a second year in class, a ranked 5th place. He remarks that if Rebecca is only ranked 10th, it makes them all look bad. The student is introduced as Lily Icevale, a second year in class, a ranked 4th place. Wolf Fangman makes a casual remark, while Lily Icevale keeps reading quietly. Lily Icevale asks if that commoner could be beaten. Lily Icevale shuts her book and states that of course, she could defeat Feet. Lily Icevale admits Feet's physical ability is impressive, but notes that if that's his only weapon, it won't be enough. Lily Icevale confidently declares that there's no way she would lose. Lily Icevale speaks like a true ranked 4, then asks Wolf Fangman what he thinks. Wolf Fangman replies that there's no way he would lose either. Feet casually remarks about being a swordsman without a sword, calling it kind of boring. The remarks point out that on top of everything, Feet is just a commoner. Wolf Fangman declares with determination that he'll be the one to crush Feet into dust. The next day, Feet shows up cheerful, greeting everyone in the morning with his little companion. Feet gets annoyed when his classmates don't greet him back and calls them out on it. Rebecca, still embarrassed, greets Feet with a good morning, catching him by surprise. Feet gets excited by Rebecca's greeting and responds to her with full enthusiasm. Feet mentions that everyone has been avoiding him, saying it feels lonely, while some classmates complain he's too loud this early. Rebecca looks directly at Feet, making it clear that she understands the situation. Rebecca shoves a classmate aside forcefully, recalling what happened yesterday. Rebecca glares at a classmate who bumped into her, while he nervously tries to excuse himself, saying he didn't see her there. The classmate reacts to being confronted, looking back with disdain. Some students call out to the class, mocking Rebecca and saying the loser is barking again. Some students laugh at Rebecca, while someone asks who that guy is. Rebecca reflects to herself, admitting she lost to a commoner who doesn't even use a sword, saying this is what she deserves. Feet tells Rebecca she's stronger than those classmates mocking her and should snap back at them just like she did with him. Rebecca admits she'd love to fight back, but says she's unarmed today, catching Feet off guard. A student looks on in shock, completely stunned by what just happened. Feet tries to apologize, but Rebecca shuts him down, saying there's no need. She admits it was just her own lack of experience. Rebecca surprises Feet by admitting that if anything, she should be the one thanking him. Rebecca looks at Feet and admits something crucial. He proved that bloodline doesn't define sword skill. Rebecca admits the fight made her realize just how arrogant she had been all along. Rebecca bows to Feet, formally apologizing for the way she treated him yesterday. Rebecca, still serious, vows that from now on she'll treat Feet with the respect he truly deserves. Feet brushes it off casually, saying there's no need for all that. The duel with Rebecca was an absolute blast. Feet grins, points at Rebecca, and says they should totally have another duel sometime. Rebecca and Feet seal the moment with a handshake, a clear sign of mutual respect. Rebecca asks Feet how he managed that barehand strike. Feet shrugs it off, saying it was easy. Feet says it might be faster to just show Rebecca instead of explaining. Feet shows off his technique, striking the training targets with his bare hands and smashing them apart with raw power. Rebecca looks at the impact and admits that Feet's power is still unbelievable. Feet starts explaining the trick, asking Rebecca if she can channel energy through her blade, and she answers yes. Rebecca explains that sword energy is a swordsman's inner power used to enhance the blade and boost its cutting strength. Feet agrees. Feet points out that when you channel that energy into the blade, it becomes sharper, stronger, and more durable. Feet teases the idea, saying that if sword energy can enhance a blade, then it can be applied to anything else as well. Feet puts his idea into action, unleashing the energy in a powerful strike to demonstrate his technique. Feet points at Rebecca and tells her it's her turn, but she immediately protests, saying she can't possibly do that. Rebecca is shocked, admitting she's never even heard of channeling sword energy into the body. Feet just shrugs it off, wondering why people don't use it since it's insanely useful. Rebecca says it might be handy if someone ever lost their sword, but she still doubts the idea. Feet answers casually, saying a hand strike is basically a blade. The same principle applies. Feet keeps going, telling Rebecca to pay attention because he's about to reveal the next part of his technique. Feet explains his trick. By channeling energy through his whole body, his skin hardens, turning as tough as armor. Rebecca realizes in shock. With that technique, there are no gaps, no weak spots at all. Feet tells Rebecca to start by channeling the energy into her arm, picturing it as a blade. Even a bit unsure, she nods and decides to give it a try. Rebecca channels the energy into her arm, but the pressure hits her hard. The strain is overwhelming, and her whole body starts shaking under the intensity. Rebecca collapses from exhaustion, nearly losing control, but Feet dodges at the last second, laughing it off. Rebecca, frustrated and out of breath, glares at Feet, wondering how he could possibly call that close. Rebecca realizes that even with just a small flow of energy, her body can't handle it. Her bones are already straining. It's explained that sword energy was meant to be channeled into blades, because only they're strong enough to handle that power. She's stunned when she realizes. Unlike normal swordsmen, he managed to flow sword energy through his entire body. Feet encourages Rebecca, saying everything's tough at first, but with training she'll get it. After all, she's Rebecca. Out of nowhere, the atmosphere shifts. A top-ranked student charges in, striking Feet with overwhelming force and cutting the training with Rebecca short. Feet manages to block the sudden strike. His opponent grins wickedly, impressed but taunting, saying that if Feet ever wants to land a real ambush, he'll first need to learn how to hide his energy. The ambush attacker finally shows his face. It's Wolf Fangman, the second-year ranked student, making his sudden move and stepping into the fight. Rebecca freezes in shock when Wolf Fangman steps forward. With a mocking grin, he taunts her, calling her poor little Rebecca, making it clear he didn't show up for friendly reasons. Wolf Fangman suddenly lunges at Rebecca, striking from behind. With mocking words, he tells her to show respect to her senpai, clearly trying to catch her off guard. Feet steps in and effortlessly blocks Wolf Fangman's strike. Wolf Fangman pulls back and charges at Rebecca again with force. Wolf Fangman praises Rebecca's reflexes, while Feet watches suspiciously, wondering who the hell this guy really is. Wolf Fangman makes his presence clear. Ranked 5th in the entire academy, his name is one every student knows. Feet narrows his eyes, surprised by just how high Wolf Fangman's rank really is. Feet glares at Wolf, demanding to know why he went after Rebecca. The tension spikes, setting the stage for an even bigger clash. Feet steps in, reminding Wolf that Rebecca is unarmed. His words cut through the tension, calling out the cowardice of striking someone defenseless. Feet demands to know why Wolf went after Rebecca, but Wolf just laughs smugly. Wolf sneers and says he went after Rebecca because, in his eyes, she's just a loser. Wolf keeps ranting, saying weaklings piss him off just by existing. He sneers that trash needs to be taken out and taunts Feet, implying he'd do the same. Rebecca points out that personal fights are forbidden, but Wolf shuts her down, claiming this academy only respects strength, and whatever a rank 5 does becomes the law. Wolf says he's not even going all out today. Wolf leans in close to Feet, saying he's just here to mess around and have some fun with the transfer student. Feet looks straight at Wolf and asks if all that trash talk was just his way of throwing down a duel challenge. Wolf smirks and says Feet can take it that way if he wants. Wolf casually waves it off, saying he's not fighting right now. Feet and Rebecca are left confused by his attitude. Wolf declares that in 1 month, there will be a selection battle for the upcoming Academy Tournament. The Academy Tournament is revealed, a national event to decide the best academy in Weldaria. Representatives are chosen based on current skill, and on that day, you're free to beat down anyone you want. The tournament is brutal. Everyone goes all out, and some end up so badly injured they can never swing a sword again. That kind of carnage draws a passionate crowd every single year. Wolf Fangman looks at Feet and says the tournament is the perfect stage to take him out for good. Feet listens to Wolf Fangman's taunts and calmly replies with a simple, "I see." Feet faces Wolf Fangman without hesitation. Confidently, he accepts the spot. Rebecca makes it clear she despises cowards who strike at the defenseless. The challenger makes it clear he won't stop until his opponent is crying and begging for mercy. With a sharp glare and finger pointed, he makes it clear there's no getting off the hook this time. His eyes gleam with excitement, a twisted grin forming. He's looking forward to the chaos that's about to unfold. His rival leans in with a vicious grin, dripping with arrogance as he spits out his contempt, mocking Feet without holding back. Rebecca reassures Feet that she's fine and thanks him for stepping in when he did. Feet teases Rebecca, pointing out that she never got mad when he was the one insulting her nonstop. Rebecca clarifies that this time was different. Her friend was about to get hurt. Of course she'd get mad now. Rebecca, flustered, hides her face with her hand and insists it's nothing, clearly embarrassed. Rebecca lowers her gaze, blushing as she whispers that no one has ever called her a friend before. The little mascot jumps up with excitement, celebrating like it totally gets what's going on. The mascot jumps right onto Rebecca's head, acting like he's claiming friendship too, while she's caught completely off guard. Rebecca lets out an awkward laugh with the mascot still on her head, while Feet bursts out laughing at the sight. With the mascot still perched on her head, Rebecca smiles warmly and asks if she can be a friend too, showing how much that moment truly meant to her. Feet grins, thinking things are only getting more and more interesting. Rebecca looks surprised and asks if Feet wants her to show him around town. Feet admits he doesn't know the city at all, and Rebecca, a bit hesitant, says she doesn't mind showing him around, but she clearly has her reservations. Feet grabs Rebecca's hands and thanks her with pure excitement. She's caught off guard by a sudden burst of energy. Rebecca blushes and tells Feet to stop, embarrassed about doing that in public. Feet just looks confused, not really getting why she's upset. Rebecca, still flustered, tries to brush it off by saying she was already planning on getting a new sword anyway. Rebecca insists she's only coming along because it's convenient, not for any other reason. Feet doesn't really get it, but shrugs it off. If she's showing him around, then fine by him. Before the tour, Rebecca suggests doing some training first and asks Feet to join her. Feet didn't hesitate. He immediately agreed to Rebecca's request. Suddenly, Feet and Rebecca notice something off and turn their attention to the commotion happening up ahead. Up ahead, a girl was struggling in a duel. Her opponent kept mocking her, striking relentlessly, demanding more from her, while she barely managed to stay on her feet. While the girl struggled, the nobles around mocked her. They called it training, but it was nothing more than humiliation, laughing at her and calling her useless just because she was a commoner. Feet stepped in, breaking the tension. He looked straight at the bullies and asked what kind of training this was. Then, without hesitation, he asked if he could join in. The bullies were caught off guard by Feet's presence. One demanded to know who he was, while the other quickly recognized him, the commoner who made it into Class A. Feet stared them down with a confident grin. If they were looking for a fight, he was more than ready to take them on. The rivals smirked, clearly intrigued. Things had just gotten a lot more interesting. The opponents whispered to each other, thinking that if they beat him up, they might actually earn a spot in Class A. With swift movements, he dodged the strike and countered sharply, leaving his opponents with no chance to react. With one move, he unleashed a wave of energy that blasted his opponents back with ease, showing just how massive the power gap really was. Enraged by the humiliation, one of the enemies charged at him, shouting in anger. Feet dodges fast and counters with power, catching his opponent off guard mid-swing. The enemy's strike fails, and Feet takes him down with ease, asking if that's all he's got. Furious and humiliated, the enemy retreats, vowing revenge on Feet. Rebecca points out they were from Class B, probably with nothing better to do. Feet just laughs, calling them pathetic. Feet asks if Class B is supposed to be strong. Rebecca explains they're the second best in their grade, but still not on Class A's level. The girl thanks Feet for saving her, and he casually asks if she's a commoner too. She introduces herself as Nico, a first year from Class D. Feet realizes Nico is from Class D, the lowest ranked class, and is shocked. Rebecca tells Feet to ease up, but Nico quickly says it's fine, clearly trying to avoid any tension. Feet is shocked to learn Class D is even weaker than the others. Feet can't believe it. Class D really is the weakest of them all. Feet spaces out for a second, but quickly tries to introduce himself properly. Nico quickly recognizes Feet and Rebecca, confirming their names without hesitation. Nico explains she knows them, because she watched their duel. Nico admits that watching Feet, a fellow commoner, stand against someone ranked 10th gave her courage. Nico reveals that ever since that duel, she's looked up to Feet, catching him a bit off guard. Nico, overjoyed, thanks Feet, and says talking to him feels unreal. Meanwhile, Rebecca starts to notice that something doesn't quite add up. Rebecca hands Nico her sword and asks if she's always treated like that. Nico, a bit embarrassed, admits that she is. Nico admits that the nobles don't like her. The scenes reveal how she's constantly bullied and excluded at the academy, showing just how much she suffers for being a commoner. Rebecca admits her perspective had been too narrow. Rebecca reflects that clinging too tightly to status twists people into something ugly. Feet smirks and tells Rebecca that if she can admit that, it means she's already changed. Rebecca closes her eyes and admits that maybe Feet is right. Feet casually points out that Nico's body seems really flexible, catching Rebecca off guard. Feet's comment leaves both Rebecca and Nico stunned, their faces full of shock and confusion. Rebecca snaps and smacks Feet, clearly pissed at what he just said. Rebecca glares at Feet, calling him an idiot and pointing out she was talking about Nico's joints. Nico is shocked, realizing that even after being pummeled, Rebecca doesn't look hurt at all. Nico realizes that every strike aimed at Rebecca was perfectly redirected, instead of landing clean. Feet points out she used her joints to take the hits, and Nico admits she's always been flexible. Feet realizes it was all reflex, and Nico admits that's pretty much the only thing she's good at. Rebecca looks at Nico and says it's a shame, such talent being wasted like that. A knight steps in, saying there are plenty of gifted commoners, making it clear that true strength isn't defined by nobility. Feet wonders if more commoners start standing out. Could they actually shake up the entire noble system? Rebecca questions him, but Feet brushes it off, saying he was just thinking out loud. Feet suddenly calls out to Nico, catching her off guard. Feet points straight at Nico and asks if she's interested in the selection battle. Nico asks if he means the battle that decides who goes to the academy tournament, and Feet casually confirms that's the one. Nico is left stunned, totally shocked by what she just heard. Nico admits she's interested, but feels too weak. Feet immediately tells her to just train with them. Nico excitedly asks if Rebecca is joining the battle too. While Rebecca feels like everything's moving way too fast, Rebecca confidently confirms that she'll be joining the battle too. Rebecca clenches her fist with determination, saying she won't pass up the chance to prove her strength. After just one loss, everyone is already treating Rebecca like a failure. Feet points out that he and Nico are written off just for being commoners, like that's all that defines them. Feet grins at Rebecca and Nico, saying if the three of them make it into the tournament, the nobles' faces will be priceless. Rebecca warns that this plan is basically declaring war on noble society, while Nico nervously agrees, saying Rebecca's right. Nico admits that Feet and Rebecca might be fine, but someone like her would just get crushed. Feet doesn't sugarcoat it. He looks at Nico and tells her straight up, if she thinks she'll get crushed, then the only answer is to get stronger. Feet makes it clear to Nico she doesn't have to do this. If she doesn't want in, she can just say no. But she hesitates. Feet looks straight at Nico and tells her if even a part of her wants to get stronger, he can make it happen. Nico remembers the day she left her village. Her father proudly called it his dream to have a daughter become a knight, while her mother worried and told her she could always come back if things got too tough. But Nico promised she'd be fine. Nico thinks about her parents and feels the weight of responsibility. If she becomes a knight, she can give them a better life and make things easier for her family. Determined, Nico knows she can't stop. She has to push forward. She has to get stronger, no matter what it takes. Nico admits she has her own reason for staying at the academy. Something deeper than just training. Sitting alone, Nico reflects on her struggles. Ever since she came to the academy, it's been nothing but pain and humiliation, and she feels powerless to stop it. Nico stares at herself in doubt. She wonders if someone like her, weighed down by failures and insecurity, can truly change. With determination in her eyes, Nico bursts out the question, can she truly become strong? Feet looks at Nico and tells her straight, if her resolve is real, her blade will answer. Those words spark even more confidence inside her. With a confident look, Feet tells Nico straight, she can definitely become stronger. To both of them, and makes it clear, Nico and Rebecca are part of this journey too. Feet raises his fist high and declares that together, they're going to flip the academy upside down and shock everyone. As they walked through the street, some nobles grumbled in frustration, angry that the commoners were getting too full of themselves, wondering what they should do about it. The nobles, unable to swallow their loss, laughed bitterly and claimed commoners couldn't actually be strong. In their minds, there was only one explanation: they must have cheated somehow. One of the nobles, already on edge, snapped and grabbed the other by the collar, yelling at him to watch where he was going. As the nobles argued, a shady group showed up and mocked them, calling them rich little brats. They said nobles like them were their favorite kind of prey. Out of nowhere, the strike landed hard. One noble collapsed, clutching his wound in disbelief. The hooded man coldly stated he'd let them off easy today, making it clear he could have ended them if he wanted. The hooded figures walk away casually, leaving screams of pain behind. One of them complains about not getting a turn, showing just how twisted and casual this brutality is for them. The two hooded figures keep talking like nothing happened. One apologizes and promises the next victim will be all his, treating it like some kind of reward. The hooded man grins wickedly, clearly thrilled at the thought of the next attack. As the hooded figures walk away through the dark alley, one of them holds Rebecca's poster, making it clear she's their target. And that's it for today's episode. Things are only heating up, and trust me, the next part will blow your mind. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, share it with a friend, and most importantly, subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always first to catch the next wild twist. See you in the next recap.